Um, Good evening, everybody, dear friends. Today, I was asked to talk to you about rebirth, kind of a you know complex topic, but I think I'm gonna talk about uh, how we, uh, you know, how we better understand that concept in our daily life, not merely as a theoretical concept. What do you guys know about rebirth? Probably there are few other names. Rebirth basically, you know, uh, goes to Jainism, Hinduism, and Buddhism. But reincarnation is a much popular term, I guess, right? What is reincarnation? Does anybody have a kind of a
Coming back after death, usually as a human.
coming after?
Like being reborn onto Earth, usually as a human.
Okay, uh, so beings die,
Yeah.
but their spirits continue, right? Whatever the spirits in them, self or whatever the such things continue, right? That's what they say. Reincarnation. Reincarnation basically comes from Hindu perspectives, right? Hindu philosophy. In the Vedic philosophy, they talk about reincarnation. So we die, we everybody die, and then our spirit continues in a different form, right? So that's something they talk about, imperishable, which cannot be destroyed by any other entity, right? So let's talk about the theoretical, perspectives a bit before we're going to talk about how we're going to relate that in our life. So reincarnation, in Sanskrit we call it punarupatti. So uppatti, punarupatti. Puna means re, right? Uppatti is the birth. But here, it's not just the birth; it's just the self or the spirit. Now, in Hinduism and in the Jainism, they describe that this self continues even after the death. And they also said that in the epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, probably you might have heard these very wonderful books. They say that this self or this spirit continues, and nobody can stop that. So that's what they talk about. But the basic understanding which was given by the Buddha is that there is not a self continuous, but there is a changing self that continues until until somebody attains the Nibbana. That's what Buddha says. So it's always changing. But to them, it is not a self that is always getting changed. Now, we all are getting changed all the time, right? Now, I'm not Venerable Chandima who came few minutes ago here. I'm getting changed, right? But we don't see that change right away, right? How do you see the change? When you're getting old, when you're getting sick, you then probably think about, okay, I was well, I was not sick before, probably 2 days ago. Now I'm sick. I have got a sore throat, right? So I mean, you see the changes when something happens. Other than that, otherwise you don't think about it, right? So Buddha always says that everything, everybody in this universe get changed. So then there can be a reincarnation, punruppatti. There can be a rebirth. So you die based on what you have done. Specifically, especially the last moment impacts too, that you are going to be reborn. That's what the Buddha said. But the problem is, how are we going to understand this concept, because theoretically it says that people are reborn. We don't know how that happens. I'm not going to touch upon the scientific ways of how that happens, right? In the Western perspective, as you all know, that many people do not believe a next life for many reasons, and also many people believe in Abrahamic religion. So in those religions, they don't talk about a next birth, probably a heaven, probably a hell. But now there is a very good thing happening. It could be a good thing or a bad thing to some extent, that many people are trying to be moral, but without religion. And the number of people who are atheists, who are agnostics, who don't claim a religion, increasing day by day. That's a different trend, because it's not about religion thing, right? Probably their first generation, their forebearers, their parents, their grandparents, they have religion. Now, with the scientific things, discoveries, technology, and the civil rights, so they think that religion kind of, limits their freedom, in a sense. This is something really good to discuss, right? That doesn't mean that you have to give up Buddhism. I'm not saying that you are, bornly Buddhist or not, but it's not something that you're trying to, you need to get converted or not. But that's a tendency that happens across the Western world, probably in Asia too, Eastern world too, right? Would anyone of you care to, define rebirth? Or what do you know about, this change from the death to the next life in your own understanding? What do you know about it? Does anybody know how that happens, or how that can happen? Do you have any thoughts about it? It could be not theoretical. Probably it could be, could be an imagination, could be something that you think this could happen.
I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but like from a lot of people that remember past lives, that it's more that they remember, you know how you said the last moment counts? A lot of the people that remember past lives are people that have had really traumatic, like very sudden, traumatic deaths. So, and sometimes it's in very short periods that they're born again and they still remember, but sometimes there's a huge gap. So I don't think there's like a time and how it happens.
Yeah, but there are some such stories, right?
Yeah,
I think you're probably talking about some of the researchers done by a professor. Probably his name was Ian Stevenson, I guess. 1,000 cases. The book's kind of an old book, but in the 1,000 cases, he has a lot of cases from Sri Lanka too, right? And I recently saw on a Sri Lankan website that there was a girl who was bitten by a cobra, and she was reborn, and then she had that spot where she was bitten, and she could remember what happened. This cobra, she stepped on the cobra, and she was bitten by the cobra. But the thing is, like, after some time of the birth, the next birth, usually people forget it. There's something that I see in almost many cases. But anyway, they can remember something that happened, mostly about what happened when they die in the previous life, not what they did in the previous life, right? So that's a good evidence to talk about. There could have been something before us, right? Before this birth, right? So that's a good, point in this discussion, in this talk too. Can you remember anything that happened? No. Probably most of us cannot remember what happened when we died. But keep in mind, we died, right? We died. Of course, we died.
I also think, like, I don't know, part of me is like, I think we're like energy. Like, if you take it, not, I know you said don't take it in a scientific way, but I think we're never destroyed, so
Mhm.
it keeps going on till
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that relates to karma, right? Karma. So karma is the energy behind all these births and rebirths, which we call as a sansara. This is sansara, right? Now, in the typical Buddhist texts talk about the sansara, which is not ending until you attain the nibbana, right? So then, uh, the thing is like, I'm not saying that we should not look at this concept with science, but my understanding is sometimes we might, I mean, we might not, you know, see things with science. Probably science is always getting changed, but of course, you know, we are thanking to science. Because of the science, we are, you know, enjoying a lot of comforts at the moment. But could something be false simply because it was not discovered by science? That's a good point, right? Could any concept, could any phenomenon, any experience be false or untrue simply because it was not discovered or evidence proved by science? That's a good point, right? But the thing is like, how are we going to look at such things? Like, let's talk about ESP, extrasensory perception related things, probably you know, beings that you cannot see, right? Now, with the new technologies, we can see that some of the tiny creatures can be seen with some microscopic, you know, tools. But the big beings like ghosts, if they are really existing with us, we can't see them, right? Unless few people say some dramatic experience. I saw this ghost, like, I don't know. I mean, these guys in a haunted place, right? Probably in a cemetery, or some people say, right? Such beings were there, you know. So, but the only thing is we cannot like prove such things, right, with science. But some people claim that. But some people can say these could be some hallucinations too, right? There are not such beings, but don't worry about it. But I have some experiences. Some people ask us to, you know, chant in their houses because some of the evil forces, you know, doing some bad things to them. So they ask us to do some chanting, so that to them that chanting help such beings to go away. Anyway, so that's another, you know, perspective to see. I mean, can such things be false or untrue simply because they were not found out discovered by science, right? And the first, the point was that there are a number of people who talking about the past life, mainly their death, how their death happened, right? What are the other, you know, specific, you know, good, you know, special things that we can talk about rebirth, or something that can be a life after us or before us? Mhm.
I remember like from school, I think one of the monks said that like your last moment like kind of affects like where you're born again, because like if your last thought is like your attachment to yourself, then I think you can be like born as a ghost or something. I'm not sure.
I know that thing, but the thing is like none of us know what's going to happen to us. Because we talk about things from the book's text, right? None of the monks might, I guess, they might not know about this thing. Things like there are texts that talk about what's going to happen when somebody dies. Usually they say that your last moment, you know, matters to you. Let's say you are a good person, but in the last moment you think about something like, okay, you're getting angry for some reason, and then you're gonna die and you're gonna reborn as a ghost or such a bad person. There are a lot of stories like that, but not for a long time, only for a short time, because your last moment is something that that links to the next life. It looks to me like a relay competition, right? When many people run, what is happening in a relay competition? there's something called, what do you call it? Baton, right? Let's say there's a guy who can really run faster than all the guys, but he's in the third stage. But the first two guys, they don't run really well. But the third guy is a very Olympic, famous guy. But the problem is he doesn't get that something on time or in time, right? So every stage matters. Probably that could be a reason of that. I mean, if you're gonna, relate that to that thing. But it's not something like that. Let's say we don't know what's gonna happen to our last moment because we are not sure about each time. We can get so much greedy. We can get angry. We might be ignorant. We can, make sure that this is my last moment life. But the thing is, like, don't worry about it. I mean, we're trying to be very mindful about each moment. That is very individualistic because we don't know how much effort we all have at each moment, especially when we're gonna die, right? Some people, they get very sick when they're gonna die, so they cannot think about anything. They can't be mindful enough about what's gonna happen. Some people die with accidents. Some people, they get shot. They get bombed, right? Nowadays, things are like that, right? So we can't be too much sure about what's gonna happen when we're gonna die, right? But the only thing is that we can be happy is that not for a long time. If something like that happens to you, not for a long time, because you've been doing a lot of good things. So I talk about that with the karma. Right now, next we can talk about karma and how that can help us to navigate this birth and rebirth and samsara. So there's such a teaching. So when your last moment is not good enough with a good thing, you might be heading towards a bad place. But all these are textual things. We don't know. Don't worry about it. Spend your each moment happily, mindfully, because you don't know what's the moment that you're gonna die, right? And I think it's not very important to think about the previous life and the next life by wasting your present life, because this is the life that you can do everything, either be good or bad. You can't do anything about your past life, future life right away. I think the past moment and the future moment, they are really kind of stages of present moment, right? When you don't spend the time now really well, it becomes a past, and then the next moment right away becomes the future, right? But we don't know how that relates to the previous life and the next life. But anyway, what are the other points that you can think about when you think about next life or the previous life? What are the interesting things that you can think about? Yeah.
I think again, like in middle school, I think they were talking about how there's like different stages or like worlds kind of you can be born into, like the animal kind of world or something.
That's also a textual thing, right? So there are 31 planes in Buddhism, right? There are, to the text, there are 6 heavens. They say 1 human world, but there could be other human worlds too, right? 1 human world, and 4 hells, which has a lot of sub-hells too, and then 4 arupa vachara worlds. These are higher than the heavens, right? Arupa vachara, they were introduced as immaterial worlds. They don't have a body actually. Their body is very subtle, but they have a very strong mind. And there are another 16 material worlds, rupa vachara worlds. Sorry, the previous one doesn't have a body, but they have a mind. They have a strong mind. Mind is not a very solid thing that you can see, but their mind is very stronger than the others. But in the rupa vachara 16 worlds, plane, let's call them as planes or realms, their body is very solid, but their mind is very subtle. So there are 31 planes like that. Everyone can be reborn. But it's a textual teaching, but we don't know how that can be related to nowadays, to today's world, and but there are of course a lot of things that people talk about. Some people relate, these places to, but that's not a very good discussion. Where are the heavens, located, or hells located? Where are these places located? Yeah, but textually speaking, there are 31 planes. We, everybody, including beings, going to be reborn.
So you're talking about karma, right?
Now we can talk about karma now. Yeah.
Okay. So karma and then rebirth, I guess. How are we, like, our karma determines, I guess, where we're born and how we're born. They say that that's how it works, but then how is it that, like, for example, like, what family you're born into, and like, the people you meet in your life, and the things that happen to you, like, I think everyone is very interconnected, like, everyone that you meet, and like, talk to, like, and just, like, interconnected, so, like, my mom's karma and my karma and my sister's karma, like, it's very interconnected. I don't know if that's right or not, but, like, how are things, like, not determined, but, like, how is karma, like, affected, like, from past lives to this life?
Okay.
But how is, like, I don't know if my question's, like,
Yeah,
clear, but, like,
that makes sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah. When the Buddha was born in India, 6 BCE, there were 3 very famous concepts about karma. The first concept was Pubbe Kata Hetuwada in Pali. I would give you the Pali terming. Pubbe Kata Hetuwada, which means everything happens due to karma, which was denied by the Buddha. Everything happens from karma, but Buddha said no. But it was there at the Buddha's time, when even before he was born. Second concept was Issara Nimmana Hetuwa, which means there is somebody like an almighty God who determines everyone's past life, this life, next life, and everything, so forth. Denied by the Buddha. Third one, Ahetu Appachevada, which means everything happens randomly. These are all ad hoc things, right? And Buddha said not everything. There could be something that can happen, randomly. And then Buddha said no. And now, what is the Buddha's understanding about karma? To know that, we have to go to Abhidhamma. How many of you know Abhidhamma? Abhidhamma is a certain type of books that were actually written by Theravada monks as a response to Sutra Pitaka. When you read about the Sutra Pitaka, there are a lot of places where you get confused. Because of why? They were given to certain Brahmins, monks, and those people, not to us, right? So when they were given to different individuals at the Buddha's time, those individuals could understand them, because they were given on different circumstances. So, because there are so many confusions, Theravada monks had to respond to those confusions. In the Abhidhamma, this question, how does karma affect us, was discussed, largely. I can't remember the exact, probably it's Attasalini, I guess. Dhammasanga, Attasalini, probably in the Abhidhamma book actually. In one of the Abhidhamma tags, they say, not everything happens because of karma. There are 4 other things too. I don't know whether you might have heard about this thing before. There are 5 laws, universal laws. One of them is karma. So that's the Buddhist explanation about karma. The first one is Utu Niyama in Pali. I will give you the Pali names. Then you might then you understand. This is very authentic in Pali. Utu Niyama means natural disasters, seasonal effects. Let's say now it's getting dark. Yeah, could be a tsunami in Pacific Ocean, and volcanic eruptions, in those mountains. Floods. Like a lot of natural disasters can happen, randomly, right? Those are not happen because of karma. Those are happen because there's a universal law. These are supposed to happen at different times, right? If you have studied about environmental sciences or geography, you might probably know how does tsunami happen? How does this volcanic eruption happen, right? So there are a lot of reasons why these things happen, according to sciences, right? They don't happen abruptly, right? There are reasons behind that thing, right? So Buddha said that all those natural things, disasters and probably seasonal effects, they happen because they are natural. They don't have any relation to karma. That's the first universal law. Second one is the bija niyama. Bija means organic process. Now, what is happening with a tree? How do you see sprouts coming up, branches, fruits, leaves, and how does that happen? What is the process behind it? You could probably say germination, photosynthesis. Yeah?
It takes time.
It takes, I mean, there's a process behind it, right? Time is also a factor, right? But so this process, which is happening with all the organic things, doesn't have any relation with the karma. That's the second universal law, right? And the third one is karma. Third one is karma. So good begets good, bad begets bad. What about the good and bad? They can give you mixed results, right? And sometimes things can get changed. There is a sutra in Sutra Pitaka. Good people go to bad places when they die. Bad people go to good places. Good people go to good places. Bad people go to bad places. But the last two are the ones that we know, right? Good people, they are supposed to go to a good place, right? Out of those 31 planes. Bad people should be going to a bad place. That's what we know. But how come a good person is going to a bad place? That is what you brought up. Last moment. Last moment matters. What if a bad person can have some possibilities of going to a good place? Last moment. What about a really bad person? Really bad person? And just before they're gonna die, they think about a good thing that they did during the lifetime. I'm heading for a good place. That's a wonderful thing too. Anyway, but that is karma. So karma is the third one, the third universal law. The fourth one is the Dhamma. So Dhamma means that our birth and our death and what is happening between the birth and death, all these things, life-related things, they happen because of the Dhamma. Like why I'm gonna die? Not because of the Buddha, not because of my karma. I had to die. Why I'm getting sick? I had to get sick at some point, right? Sometime when you are sick, you feel like something really good happening inside of you, right? Probably when you get cold, some bad stuff going away, passing away, right? So there are different ways of looking at that thing too. So the life-related things, they are under the Dhamma, universal law. The last one is about the mind. So there are a lot of things happening in our mind, right? Right? So then, whatever the things happen in your mind, they related to Chitta Niyama, or called the Chitta universal law. So that's what we say, that karma represents only one universal law, and karma does not do all the things. Karma does represent only one part of our thing. And then, going back to your question, yes, I mean, why we are, get in touch with people, so closely, and why I'm born to somebody that might have specific things. What if somebody is to be born in a very rich family? What if somebody is to be born in a very poor family? What are the reasons behind it? Probably karma, probably. We can't exactly say about it because you have to have that special knowledge when somebody gains after becoming an arahant, right? Other than that, we cannot know about it. Probably about karma, probably not. We don't know about it. But we can say, I was rich because of my past karma. What if somebody is very, very enthusiastic in this life? Then what is the stand to, what is the place for enthusiasm in this life? I would tell you a nice story. There was one Brahmin came up to the Buddha and then he started blaming him. You are really bad and you are disengaging people. You are telling something wherein which people end this whole life. Why, you know, a lot of questions will come up actually because he was actually criticizing, blaming the Buddha. He didn't, and also he said, I do not believe in enthusiasm, energy, courage, and all these, you know, positive things that we all should have. After listening to this Brahmin, and then Buddha asked once he was done with all these things, are you done with this thing? And he said yes. And then Buddha said to him, see, how prepared were you before coming to see me? You were really, really prepared to blame me, right? So that is because of the enthusiasm. You had the courage to blame me because you were preparing, right? Now see, the bad people also getting prepared to do bad things, right? They are going to be strategic. When they're going to do a bad thing, when they're going to do a bad thing, they're going to preparing a lot of things. How are we going to bypass law and people, right? There's a preparation too. And even for the good things too, right? When you are sitting for an examination, you are trying to read all the books, you're going to take extra lessons, right? You're going to discuss with your peers, right? So you are engaging with a lot of people. It's not bad. Enthusiasm. So I think what Buddha talked about in this context is that enthusiasm can bypass the karma. I would give you an example. In one of the sutras he talked about it. Have you heard about the monk called Angulimala? How many of you know about him? What do you know about him? Venerable Angulimala. What did he do? What was his previous thing before becoming a monk? He was a very good student in the class, right? He was the best student in the class, smartest guy. And then what happened? Other students were very jealous about him. He's like doing maths well, right? He's doing everything really well. And the other students thought about, oh, okay, we're going to do something to this guy, otherwise this thing can impact us. Probably they might have thought that, in nowadays universities and colleges, if somebody is really good, the professor is actually marking his or her papers really well, and he's going to look at the other papers with that perspective. Okay, he or she did well, so why not the others? Why not the other? That can matter. That's why many students, they choose the colleges to boost their GPA. They can't go with such very bright students in big universities where there are 400 students in one classroom. So they go to colleges, they boost their GPA, and they try to get into universities when they are in the fourth year or third year. So this guy was very smart, so other students were very, very envious, jealous about it. And what did they do? They told a lie to the teacher. What was the lie? This guy is having a connection with your wife. That was the very meanest, that was a very mean thing that somebody can hear, right? Probably in today's world too. This guy, even he's very smart, very good, intellectual, but he's having a connection with your wife. That's why we approach you very secret. Oh, he was really upset about it, right? And then he asked, he really wanted him to be in trouble. That's why he asked, you should make what was that? A necklace? A necklace of 1,000 fingers. Now he's in real trouble because, at that time, students had a tradition of paying respect to their teachers. It's like a tribute to their teachers. They really had to do it. So when the teacher asks something related to that tribute, they cannot say no. They say, okay, teacher, I'm gonna make that happen. And then what happened? He started killing people, because otherwise he cannot collect fingers, right? And then the last moment, and what happened in the last moment, the king decided to bring the special forces to put him down. And then his mom got to know this one. Today my son will be definitely going to be killed by the special forces. And she was trying to see him. And the Buddha, in the morning, he saw this guy is going to kill his mother. And then he's making the worst bad karma in his life. So I should help him. So he started going to see him. And then he was really happy. Oh, today the last finger. I saw a monk. This monk cannot even, the monks cannot even like run faster. Things going to get successful today. And then he couldn't actually get close to the Buddha. And they stopped the monk. Stop, monk. And Buddha said in a good way, I have stopped, but you still running. That's not about the physical running or physical stopping. It's about the sansara. That's a good point. You were still in the sansara, but I have stopped my sansara. Though he was a serial killer, he thought about something. Okay, there's something really interesting to me. He's thinking in a different way. And then he respected the Buddha, and then apologizing for all the things. And then what happened? He was ordained, right? And now the point that we are going to talk about is not that thing. The point is that he killed 1,000 people. Not 1,000, right? 999 people. 39. And now, and after some time, he became an arahant too. How did he spend how did he pay for the bad things he made? What do you think about it? That's a good question, right? Because we should find the answer. Otherwise, all the bad guys might say, "You're gonna kill people." There's a way out for that, right? What do you think about it? How did he pay for the bad things? Anybody can care to say something about this thing? How did he pay? Okay, I'll tell you. The texts say that he was stoned by the people when he was going to ask for food. That happened. But that's not a very serious thing compared to what he did, right? Now, in other texts, what we find is that becoming an arahant is one of the best good karma. It's one of the highest karma that can overpower the bad karma. Now there is an example. Now in the Ganges in India, if you have visited India, the Ganges, if somebody, let's take Ganges is coming for example, like let's say somebody is putting a small amount of salt into a glass of water. Now what will happen in a moment? This glass of water will be salty in a moment, or so. But if you put the same amount of salt into the Ganges or a large river, what's going to happen with that salt? Because the volume of the water in the Ganges or a river is higher than that amount of salt, and then so that water overpowers that salt. It's the same thing that happens when you have done a lot of good things. Your slightest bad stuff getting overpowered by your good things. So this is not any encouragement to do bad things, okay? It doesn't mean that you're gonna do something bad and there is a way out. It's not something like that. Now we all might have done bad things in our life at different stages, right? You may have apologized to the victims too. I'm not going to ask how many of you have killed mosquitoes, right? Back in your country and here, right? See, somebody's like clapping now, probably trying to find, remembering, revisiting what happened back in his time. So I mean, so we are not that perfect. I mean, none of us, right? It doesn't matter. The thing is, like, you understand that there is a way out. That okay, I can do something for that. And like, take for example this Venerable Angulimala story. So don't worry, but you have to worry about that if you have not apologized for the people that you have done bad. And then you're not going to be remorseful about it, because otherwise that will take you to another bad state. If you are remorseful every day, that comes up with the hatred. Why I did that bad thing? So you are angry about yourself. Right? Now you apologize to the bad person that you did, and then you are angry about you. Why? I was a very good person. Why I did that? I was not supposed to do it, right? But I did it. I'm so angry about it. I mean, once you figured out, okay, I did the bad thing, I won't repeat that again, that's enough. That's the stage that we all should come. But if you keep taking that to all the stages of your life, you are destroying the precious, wonderful moments of your life. Anyway, that's karma, right? Good and bad karma. So, some bad karmas can be neutralized. I don't say they can be destroyed, they can be neutralized. Their stage of the power, right? So when you talk about the rebirth, but this Venerable Angulimala, he stopped his rebirth by becoming Arhat, but he killed many people. But because of his Arhat, hood, he could, bypass, neutralize the power of the bad things, right? So we talked about, and my last, question to you is that how do we relate this thing? Is it really a necessary thing to know in our life? Should we necessarily know this rebirth thing, or should that be just a theoretical thing in our life? What do you think about it? That goes to your personal perception. There's no any correct answer for this. I'm just wondering what you think about it. Probably most of you might not be really serious about it. Me either. But the thing is, like, I'm just wondering what you think about it. Because if I'm going to be serious about it, simply because I know the text, that will really pollute my precious moment. What do you think about this rebirth, and how you think that it's kind of a very necessary thing that you should seriously think about, in this life, or not?
I would say, like, in general, you shouldn't worry about your rebirth as much, right? You shouldn't be like planning ahead for your next life, right? Like only doing good right now.
Well, I mean, my question is like, why do we take this life to prepare for the next life? I mean, a lot of people, they prepare for a next life. So this is the preparatory rehearsal stage, right? Wow. I mean,
but that's what you did last life too, then, right? That's what you're saying. You
I mean,
prepared last life for this
life. I get to that. Yeah.
Isn't it really natural to procrastinate for the next life? Because like the entire concept of like heaven isn't in itself procrastinating for the next life. Like you do good in this life because like heaven's gonna be so much better. It's just like you can delay doing anything because like you'll be more experienced in the future because then you'll make more out of it, right? So the idea is that like if you're gonna be more capable of doing something better to make more out of it, then it's better to wait. But then I don't really agree with that either. And I think that if you're gonna do something good, you do it for goodness sake, and you should really ponder. Like you should gamify your life that way.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking. But certainly, like what we can learn from the Buddhist perspective is that do more good things. That there is no harm, right? I mean, in doing good things. But if you do one single bad thing, that matters to you, right? But the thing that I was telling you, that the neutralization of the bypassing of the bad karma is something really new to all of you. But because people who talk about this thing, they will not talk that to the extent that I talk, right? Because they might think that there's a way out for the bad people too. Actually, there's a way out. That is what happens in the law too, right? Right? Yeah.
Do you believe that a person can be truly completely evil, or do you believe that there is good in everyone? Like that they carry, but it's like, it's what like people choose to focus on. Because I think as humans, like we love to just pick on one bad thing more than the good. And I also think why people think of rebirth or prepare for the next life and do good things is because it's almost like a motivation for them to
Yeah.
keep in touch with their morals. For example, like giving danas and all of those things. It's like okay, like even giving alms, giving the act of giving. It's not giving like completely because like oh yes I'm giving, but there's like a little thing. It's like oh I'm also collecting good, right? But it's almost like a motivation. Like it's
Yeah.
like, oh you have to do your homework, but it's like okay what's the motivation? Oh like you get your degree or whatever. So it's almost like okay so if you do good things, you'll have a good life in the next future too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense a lot.
Like it's like a motivation for people like to do things. I think like because I see a lot of people like they're so good in temples, and then it's like outside. It's like well, some of the things you're like. Oh,
Yeah, evils, right? Yeah, evils.
like I don't understand, but it's like the temple or like it's almost like being a concept or something beyond what's here. To just like remind them and kind of bring them back, even the concept of heaven and hell, like in other religions, I think like people are like, oh, if you're a bad person, you would go to hell. If you're a good person, okay, you would go to heaven. So it's like people want to have the good, best life they can. So
Yeah.
it's like a motivation. I don't know if that's right.
That makes sense. I think no one is like bornly evil.
Yeah, no, I wanted to. No,
That's the first thing.
exactly.
But let's go to the extent that you talk about why people are very good in the temples or in the places of holiness, and why the same people are not that good. Probably not even better than a person who might never go to a temple, or never go to a church, never go to a mosque. Why does that happen? Because if you're trying to know good things as a belief system, that can matter to you. You think like the sanctity, purification, and all such things exist in one place, in a temple or a monastery. And I heard like you probably witnessed to me that people might say, oh, in the temple, don't lie. The temple. If outside the temple, they don't talk about it. Talk about all the, fussy talks, right? So I mean, that's what I think, like, this is something, kind of a self-reflection, self-critique about yourself. Not about that you're gonna say that there is a place, after going to that place, you're gonna be holy, purified, and good, right? I think most of the people that you talk about, they were bornly Buddhist. They haven't studied that. I mean, in a way it's okay, but, in countries like where we come from, people are bornly Buddhist, and probably all of you might tell me that you go to temples with your parents, and you sit next to them, and then you do whatever they do, you're gonna follow them, right? And probably you or your parents might not have studied why we do these things, right? Why we do this? Are they really textual friendly? Probably that's what you talk about. In the text, it says that you have to be a good person, not even in the temple. Everywhere, all the time, good person, good human being. That could be beyond the precepts, right? Are precepts really inclusive? Are precepts inclusive? I mean, if I am to ask you, if somebody keeps to 5 precepts, is that the best person in the world? No, that's not inclusive. That's the minimum requirements of being a good person, right? Everywhere, not killing, not stealing, not misbehaving, not lying, right? Not getting intoxicated. These are really good, right? As I always bring up, the 5th one is really dangerous, right? The 5th one, Sura Mere, What does it say? What is Surah Mere? You are not going to take any food or any drinks that could slow down your process of mind, right? I mean, it's not just the alcohol. What if you are to have 2-3 plates of rice? You're gonna get drowsy after that, right? You are not comfortable that you can drive and really you're seeing some hallucinations on the road, right? I mean, that can happen to you. What if that you take kind of a syrup like codeine syrup because you have a kind of a cough, the codeine syrup, and then all the syrups are drowsy, right? Because it has alcohol, right? Doesn't mean that you are not supposed to take those in syrup. No, you have to take them, right? The minimum thing is like you are going to be conscious about that you are not unconscious, that you are in the present of mind, that you can drive really well, right? So I think the reason is that most of the people, they think the good things are related to one place. Absolutely not. It shouldn't be a belief system, right? And we shouldn't be fundamental too, right? We have to do a self-critique, investigate why we're doing what we're doing, right? All these things. The Buddha asked us to do that. Buddha asked not to be mere followers of him, right?
See, but then, because also with like rebirth and karma, so there's like a lot of people that don't believe in rebirth but still believe in karma, right? But then isn't that not like an issue because no one really knows when they're going to die, right? So they might be doing good things to help this life, but in the end, if it does good in the next life too, isn't that still a benefit?
I mean, karma has a direct connection to the previous life and the next life, but it also has a connection to this life too, right? Now, when you look at some of the videos that are on the YouTube, right, you probably see like instant karma. And people like upload like those instant karma. You can like say some bad words to some people, and you're gonna get hit by somebody, you know. Such instant karmas can happen, which means there's a huge connection in this life too. I mean, that's what I'm believing in. Like, I mean, take the karma to this life, not take it to the previous and next life to that extent. It can go to some extent, but not to that extent. A lot of people think like karma is always the previous thing, always a future thing. No, it's a present thing, right? Like what we do now, all our karma, right? All our karma that we are thinking and we are executing those things, right?
It's like, I'm not sure if I'm understanding properly, but if a person that has done bad their entire life and before they die they do one good thing, how does that like affect how they're reborn or something? Like, are they born in a good place or a bad place?
Textually speaking, as I told her, that if his last moment is good, and if he can reflect on that one good thing, that can help him to be reborn in a good place, but not for a long time.
Yeah, how does that balance? Because that's not like much of a balance. Right? It's like one
that's not a
thing.
probability, I guess. That's not probably
Like,
going to happen.
If you spent your entire lifetime like killing people,
Yeah.
and then right before you die you saved like a cat from being murdered from a truck,
Mhm.
how is that going to make you go to that?
Well, this is something really a cultural thing. Probably in Asia, in the eastern part of the world, they have a saying that when you are close to the death, you should only think about the good things you have done. Probably might have heard about it. Probably that can help. But in the Western world, that won't help. We've always been remorseful. Okay, I did that, you know. You know, a lot of nurses in the palliative cares, they say a lot of people who were going to die, they made some confessions, mostly about, okay, I could have been a better person at that time. I could have not done that bad thing. Actually, he apologized. He did a lot of things, but he was always thinking. She was always thinking about it because they cannot get away from that single bad thing because of the culture, right? In this culture, people are really sorry about anything. So It's a good thing, but at some points, I mean, textually speaking, because we talk about the text, right? You talk about text, I talk about text. Textually speaking, that unnecessary levels of remorsefulness cannot bring us good things, right? Because there is something we could do to, make that thing good. I think you're probably talking about a serious serial killer, right? Who kill a lot of people.
Someone that's like
I don't think that he has a good possibility of thinking the one single good thing just before he's gonna die. I don't think there's a probability. But in the text, there's saying there were few people who thought who could think about a single good thing, and they were reborn in a good place, just for a short time. Yeah,
so,
short time.
Yeah,
Not
that's
for,
like-
it's not lasting.
Oh,
Yeah, come back to the bad places.
So you're just saying like, so they think of the good thing, and it's almost like you're attracted to a positive, better place, and then your old karma or whatever it is, then just comes back and affects you again. It doesn't mean your life is perfect, right?
Oh, that's a good point too. Like, yeah, it makes sense too. I mean, what if a cat? Is there a possibility of for a cat to be born as a human? In Buddhism, yes, but not because of what he did being a cat, right? But because what he had done before being a cat. Nobody's becoming a cat all the time, right? Right. So then, we don't know what karmas we have done in the previous lives, right? So, but we don't have to be worried about it. But we want to continue our good karma, right? But sometimes they can overpower us. That's why you see a lot of good people, they die. Bad people, they survive a longer time. Why is that? Previous karma. Previous karma. And the good things have gone to the bad guys. In some countries, in some places. Why is that? Not something they have done in this life, probably.
Is it a good thing to die early?
No, that's not what I was thinking. What I was saying to you.
Instead of living
No. I was saying to you that good people, really good people, that we really like them, sometimes they die at an early age. Probably you might have seen such incidents. But some very bad guys, killers, right? Even that guy who dropped that bomb in Japan, he survived for 100 years. I mean, I'm not saying like it's a bad thing. I mean, that's his own karma. I mean, many people die. I'm not saying he has to die. I mean, he survived, right?
maybe he has to suffer.
He had
Like he has to live.
probably he had done good karmas
Suffering more by
in his
living.
previous lives, right? I mean,
He ever-
yeah,
So you do believe in it?
I do believe it, but
You do believe
Yeah.
in rebirth?
wow, that's one of the trickiest questions. I mean, textually speaking, I believe in, because I don't have any experiences about rebirth in that experience.
Okay, so you believe not believe, but like you have you preach about like what Buddha has said and everything.
Yes, in the text.
Yeah. So didn't Buddha talk about his past lives too?
He talked about it, but they are always experiences. And those experiences were textualized in the books, texts over time. I mean, I'm talking to you, I mean, assuming that you are people always trying to be, scientifically seeking things at some points. So I'm not trying to talk about the abstract things to be the very accurate, authentic things to you. That's what I was like delaying that thing to some extent.
Just wondering like your opinion on like that, and then whether you personally believe in it.
Like, how much do you
Yeah,
believe in
like
rebirth? Is
yeah,
it?
because
I don't go to percentages actually.
No, like, do you like?
I mean, kind of taking me to a
like,
tricky place.
for example, like as growing up as a child, like I remember like getting the Fatima like Jataka book, then like you read all of that, and it's like you see like you read about.
Yeah, most of them. Most of
You
them.
know,
Yeah.
most of this
Yeah.
Buddha's past lives, and he wasn't always a human being.
Yeah.
Like in all his life.
switch from different births,
Like
births to
births.
yeah.
So if he's talking about, if Buddha Hamzuru is talking about rebirth, then
Yeah.
can there be a huge, like there is a huge possibility that
The followers should be believing that too.
no, not followers should believe that,
Uh-huh.
but there could be a possibility that what he is saying is true and that there is a rebirthing process. But I don't know.
Well, I think that's an interesting thing. The thing is like, I mean, for me, I can talk about things in the text, right? But those things have not been a kind of a hands-on experience on my side. So if you ask me my personal opinion, I would say that the text talk about it, and depending on what I see in nowadays world, how people get together, how people break up, how people get killed, how people meet other people, individuals, how people become successful or not. There are a lot of reasons that could happen because of the karma, because of a rebirth. But it's still at a point that we talk about it in that graphic, technical context. But looking at the Jataka stories and the text, it definitely takes us to a place that yes, rebirth exists and samsara exists. But my point in my talk was, a lot of people, they waste this life simply because of the past life and the future life. That was my point, not because there's no any rebirth or not. I mean, that's what people think. Okay, I do this amount of dana, I offer this one and this one. Now I'm okay. Now there's no harm coming to me. I'm gonna be born in the best, highest heaven in this world, if such exists. What if such not exist? It's a big question, because we don't know such things, right? So if you're going to boil down such things to some essentials like that way, probably you might miss the best part of your life. That was my concern, right?
So do you think also, so you were saying, so like if you, usually like if something bad happens to you, that's because of bad karma, right? So it's
No.
not necessarily, but like,
I was telling you, there are 5 things.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
but okay, let's say,
more or less. More or
yeah,
less.
but like,
Yeah.
so even like a natural thing, like a tsunami, is the reason that you were at the location of the tsunami because of your karma, or still not?
What if like you die with a lot of people? You might have done a collective bad karma. Like, how do you explain a plane crash? Everybody
Yeah.
dies at the same time.
Yeah, but then, okay, let's say there's like a plane that crashed, right? But there's one person that missed that flight. And then
Yeah.
some people say that's because of his good karma, right?
Well,
Do you agree
I
with
mean,
that?
we're gonna explain that thing, that one guy could save his life because of the karma, but the others have done a collective karma. Probably might have got caused with a natural disaster too. We don't know about. Actually, I cannot talk to you about how these things happen based on the quantities, in terms of the mathematical clarity about these things.
Yeah.
Because I have to know that karmic knowledge. That happens when somebody attains the nibbana. Other than that, I can't say. And this thing happened because of the karma. This thing happened because of the first universal law.
No, you can't.
Disaster. This thing happened because of the dharma. I can't single that out. But these 5 affect in different ways to certain extent, to different percentages. Yeah.
I'm just curious. They say that a lot of people like us, for example, when they went to listen to Buddha's like discourses, like what he was saying and everything, that a lot of individuals that weren't monks also like not attained Buddha, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
They became different,
Yeah.
high individuals.
Yeah, just like by listening.
Mhm. Yes, one single stanza, they became spiritual in a different stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can that happen?
Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like in our like some people like by listening, like they attain all these different
Yeah.
levels, But like
Quantity-wise, that was really short compared to other beings, right?
yeah, like
Mhm.
like for example, if I just like one discourse, was it because like Buddha was such a like somehow like a very I don't know how to explain it, but was it
Mhm.
because it was Buddha? Because like we listened to some of his discourses passed down to
Yeah, over and over, but we haven't attained any.
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, but
Okay, let me explain to you that.
But I'm really confused because it's like it's just like just listening to it once, but it's like we've listened to like probably like a lot of different people and a lot of different monks are trying to achieve nirvana, and but it's just like but like how was it that at that time by just listening to it once and then
Yeah.
in this life like it happens.
What if I put this way? How come one student scores better than the other student in an examination, same examination? Questions are really unidentified before the examination, but they were given some text to read before the examination. But one guy is really low compared to the other guy. This guy who does that really to the best of him or her. How does that happen? Is it because of the time? Is it because he could not read? Is it because of he was talented, genius? How do you explain that? A lot of things. We can't single that out. To me, I guess the Buddhas, all the Buddhas, the Samma Sambuddha, not just the Buddha. These Buddhas, 28 Buddhas are Samma Sambuddhas. They call fully awakened ones, right? These fully awakened ones born at a certain time, because in that time is the time for the greatest individual intellectuals who could learn one simple thing very fast, maybe really faster than somebody else, right? So I think those individuals who became Sotapanna, the first stage, second, third, fourth, and ultimately became Arahant, they were really super genius people who could penetrate the gist of the teachings, right? Now, most of us, we just like take the literal meaning of the text, okay, treating the parents and this thing, they are auspicious things, that's it. We never go to the bottom of, probably, I mean, that could be something that people go beyond that knowledge level, go to the, levels of that higher wisdom, I guess. I cannot explain that. Right? I think knowledge and wisdom has a difference, right? Now there are a lot of people who are knowledgeable about sciences, humanities, this and that, but they are not wise enough to that extent, right?
How is that possible, Hamdurun? In the generation to generation, they are saying we are getting wiser.
Yeah, I mean that's not a very surprising thing. I mean, back in 50s, the people who born that time, they were baby boomers, right? I mean, after that, how do we call them? They were Generation X, and then Generation Y, and then millennials like us who born, right? I don't know, probably you, and alpha age people, right? I don't know how does that get, different. So, I mean, the thing is like there is a intergenerational inconsistency between these concepts, right? I mean, like for example, like let's take an example like somebody from here. They're pretty much known to the scientific things earlier than us. If you're gonna compare the time that we were kind of close to that and them, so they kind of like navigate those things at an early stage of their life, right? So they born. I mean, that's kind of a development of the science. And your question was that how does that happen? Because they were born, they were born at a time the scientific things are at the peak. But that doesn't mean that they aren't wise enough, right? They are at the peak of the knowledge, not the peak of the wisdom, right? Wisdom is something like a self investigation.
Yeah, also, okay, what you're saying about like the test thing, right? Kind of related, okay?
Ah.
So sometimes like before a test, Amma will say, she's like, oh, I'll say some period to you before you have this exam. How would that play any role in the exam? Just curious.
Kind of a motivation like what you brought up. I mean,
Positive energy your way, man.
Positive energy. But
what about you talk to your partner? I mean, okay, I'm gonna actually send all the good things to you. Doesn't that make any difference to you? I hope you don't have anybody, but I'm just saying, like, if somebody has somebody like that, a good person, okay, today you're going to sit for the examination, so I'm going to send my all the prayers and good things to you, and then okay, that was a kind of a motivation. That doesn't mean that you're going to pass the examination. that gives you a lot of strength. Okay, I'm going to do it today. Do it today.
Yeah.
So, but don't think that the period is the only thing that you pass the examination. Yes.
Are there any people who have become arahats in this day and age? I mean, I don't think it's something people say.
I mean, textually speaking, people don't say,
Yeah.
but I think that's not our serious business,
Oh,
right?
no,
I mean, you can just wonder. I mean, there could be some Buddhas or Arahants, or there could be, but I think if you take a look, I mean, I'm not actually, saying that your question was like that low. I'm trying to say that we have a lot of other things to think about ourselves, right? Whether I'm a good person, whether I'm doing really good things. I don't care about whether other attain Sowan, Sakadagami, Arahant. But there are people who care about that. How come you became Sowan before me? There are people nowadays, like in the world, they say that I am an Arahant. How come you became an Arahant? Because I am really caring the temple, I offer dana and a lot of things, but I couldn't attain any of these stages. Kind of like having a spiritual jealousy. As an individual, you can be wondering about it. Thing is, textually speaking, people are not saying, real people, authentic people might not say, but I mean, that is what the text say. I mean, if you really see a good, educated, very highly educated guy, they won't say I'm a very educated guy, right? Those really, really rich people, they never say they are rich people, right? The really handsome, beautiful people never say that they want some feedback from other people, right? They don't say that. They don't brag it. Only the guys who have a small amount of handsome something, pretty something, beauty, education, they're gonna be peacocks. I mean, everywhere. So the thing is like, that's what. So I don't think like such people want to say it, but that doesn't mean there are not such people. There could be people. But we don't know how they exist. They could exist. Because all these things are development of your mind, right? You develop your mind, and then you attain some stages if you really, really, skill enough. We'll probably give one more question and then, right? Yeah.
I just have a question because, like, you know how if you kill or harm your parents or like a monk, it's kind of more has more of an effect than if you do it to like a random person. Why is that?
I mean, I don't think why we are going to. We are not. We supposed to kill anybody.
Yeah, but like, why is?
You think like in case that happened?
You have to make a choice.
Wow, my goodness. I mean, this is what these people have done a lot of bad things to the text. They say, when you kill your mom, dad, arahants, when you make some conflicts between monks, and then when you, what's the last one? Mom, dad, arahants, and when you burn the Buddha. Of course, we don't see the Buddha now. These are the most heinous, right? The worst karma. The worst karma. So what is the other thing? If you kill the brother, why is it not in that? If you kill anybody else, why they are not given that due respect? So I think these were given according to that context at that time that happened. I say we are not supposed to kill anybody at any circumstance. But the thing is, like, now there is a concept coming up with that self-defense, right? Somebody is coming up here with a gun, gonna kill somebody. Are we going to tolerate that?
No.
That's something else. So that's kind of a low point, I guess. We should not get killed by such a very bad guy, right? You're gonna bring a lot of, AK-47 and, revolver and stuff. You're gonna kill anybody that they want. That should not happen. But other than that, we are good people. We're not supposed to kill anybody, any beings, right? So, those 5 were given in a certain context at that time. I think this is not inclusive. This does not cover the worst type of bad karma. I guess we should not execute any bad karma. Not only saying that, okay, I can kill other people who are not in the list, in this list, right? We can slander, right? We can slander, not because to trouble the monks, but because to trouble my friends, because it was not a part of that fighting, right? So let's be responsible for what we do, not just to say, okay, these are the bad things. I'm not executing them, so I'm good. If you are really responsible, you might not do any such bad things in the text, right? If you are a responsible person, you're gonna think about everything. Okay, this is bad. I'm gonna hurt somebody. I'm gonna do this bad thing, right? So that will help you to navigate your own spirituality, and then it will take you to a place that you feel really good about you. You don't feel empty about you at the end. So that's what we should think about: the good karma, bad karma, and the rebirth. Okay. I think we're gonna actually wrap it up. So let's share all the good karmas with the departed people and the deities. May all the good karmas that we've been having so far, and you observed 5 precepts, and then you listened to a Dhamma talk, and you discussed the Dhamma in a very open way, in a very liberal way. I was not very defensive about what I know and what I'm supposed to be defensive. I was really open to you, and we had a very liberal discussion about karma, rebirth, and all these related things. And then may all those good karmas that we've been having so far be shared by all the departed, especially the father of Mrs. Ranjana and the grandfather of Yasas, and think about relationships, and all the other relatives who passed away in the name of all of you. May they be happy and peaceful. May they attain the supreme Nibbana at the end. Okay, let's give a big sadhu and recite the stanza. Idang me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayu. Idang me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayu. Idang me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayu. Let's share all the good karmas with the deities who protect and bless all of us. May they be happy and peaceful. May they also attain the supreme Nibbana at the end. Let's give a big sadhu and recite the stanza. Ettavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Okay, finally, let's think about all the good karmas that we've been having so far. May all the good karmas that we've been having so far help all of us to attain the supreme Nibbana at the end. Give a big sadhu. I'm gonna be blessing with some stanzas to you. Sabbityo vivajjantu samparoko vinasatu mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi digayo bhava bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sada sutti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata sabba dhammanubhavena sada sutti bhavantu te බෞද්ධ සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ සංඝානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ අභිවාදන සීලස්ස නිච්ඡං වද්ධාපචායිනෝ චත්තාරෝ ධම්මා වඩ්ඩಂತಿ ආයුවන්හු සුඛං බලං ආයුරාෝග්‍ය සම්පatti සග්ග සම්පatti මේවච අතු නිබ්බාන සම්පatti ඉමිනාතේ සමිච්ඡතු